I, 34 male, grew up in a very conservative household. My parents and my older brother, Max, 38, all hold extreme bigoted views. I'm gay, so that was hard on me growing up. In my 20s, my grandpa died and left me a large chunk of inheritance. It was enough to put a down payment on a house in another county. I decided I no longer wanted to be associated with my family, so I came out to them right before I moved away. They reacted horribly, saying I would rot in the bad place and that I was dead to them. Fine with me. I moved and we haven't spoken in years. Since I moved, I landed a great job and met the love of my life, my husband, Jonah, 35. However, this is where the problem arises. A month ago, I got a message from Max. He apologized for what he said when I came out and said he wanted to reconnect. But then he told me that he lost his job and his family, his wife Danny and their 2 kids, was about to be evicted. So he asked if they could stay with me for a few months until they got back on their feet. He also said that he would have asked to stay at my parents' place, but they recently moved to an assisted living facility. My first instinct was to say no, but when I told Jonah, he said we should give them a chance because Max could have changed and he doesn't want the kids to be homeless. I finally agreed and messaged Max that I would help him out on a few conditions. Under no circumstances is he allowed to bring up politics or mention his political opinions. Under no circumstances is he allowed to disrespect me, my husband, or our home. I told Max that he and his family would be out if they broke the rules. Zero tolerance. He agreed and they came to stay a few weeks ago. Jonah works from home, so I told him to tell me if Max ever said or did anything that broke our rules. For the first few weeks, everything was fine. But a few days ago, Jonah called me crying while I was at work. He said that he told Max to clean up after his kids because they were making a mess. Max didn't want to, so that started an argument. It culminated in Max screaming that he didn't want a fruity telling him what to do. I was furious. When I got home, I told Max that he and his family had 2 days to pack up and get out. He started arguing with me and said that Jonah was lying, but I know Jonah would never lie about something like that. When he saw I was serious, he said I was terrible for making his kids homeless, but I said he did this to himself. Danny then stepped in and apologized for Max, which confirms he said it, and begged me to give them another chance. But I said zero tolerance means zero tolerance. They didn't start packing until I threatened to call the police. I gave them the address for a homeless shelter, and they left, but they keep texting, asking to come back, saying their kids are suffering. Even some of my cousins are getting involved and are saying it's cruel to punish the children for their parents' mistakes. Am I the idiot here? Not the idiot. You didn't make them homeless. Max did. Your rules were clear and very reasonable. He broke them. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. To all the cousins telling you you were cruel, ask them to keep your brother and his kids. Exactly. Any concerned cousins are free to offer their couches. OP's already done more than enough. They only reconnected out of convenience and with a handout. You were very generous to give Max a second chance, and he blew it. The shelter can help him get back on his feet, and in the meantime, they'll be getting their basic needs met. Personally, I'd also feel bad about the kids, so I'd offer that Danny and the kids could stay, with the same conditions, plus that Max is not allowed in the home. If they refuse because they don't want to be separated, then it cannot in any way be considered your fault that the kids are homeless. You're a good person. Sorry you have a crappy family. OP's not at fault anyway. That falls on the parents. Max bit the hand that fed them. Do not feel bad. You do know what he's teaching those children. The same views he said to your husband, just behind your back. Also, OP, change the locks on your home immediately, because I have a feeling your brother made a copy of a key. Good luck, and I really hope you stick to your guns and do not let your unpleasant family members ruin any more of your new life. I, 25 female, met my fiancé, 26 female, in high school. We got along very well, and we started dating a few months later. We've been together for 9 years, and I proposed to her for her birthday. I was thrilled when she said yes, and we started planning our wedding. We've always wanted a winter wedding, and our date is in January. Invitations were sent out last week, and yesterday, I received an angry call from my brother, 33, asking why he hadn't received an invite. Now, my brother's never been very accepting of me being a lesbian. When I first came out, he was very certain that I was simply confused and just hadn't found the right man yet. Over the years I've been with my fiancé, he's been constantly criticizing her and our relationship, talking about how it was doomed to fail because one day we'd realize what we were missing. I went low contact with him years ago, and I only ever see him at family events. But even after my proposal, the comments about our relationship didn't stop. When we announced our engagement, he literally asked if we were sure about it because divorces are so stressful. If anyone knows about divorces, it must be him and his soon-to-be 3 ex-wives. When he contacted me, I asked why he had expected an invitation after having absolutely no faith in our relationship for almost a decade. But he got defensive and talked about how not inviting close family to my wedding was beyond rude and that I was an idiot for excluding him, my own brother, when even my cousins are invited. After all, I've been invited to all of his weddings. I only attended the first one because I liked his now ex-wife. My fiancé fully supports my decision because she can't stand him, but my father called and tried to reason with me, promising he'd make sure my brother behaved if I were to invite him, but I genuinely don't want him anywhere near me on our big day. Not the idiot. You don't want people to behave at your wedding. You want people who are sincerely and genuinely happy for you and your fiancé. Your brother isn't among them. Spoiler, he won't behave. He probably objects at your wedding or talks behind your and your fiancé's back. Not inviting him is the best option. Your brother is not close family in any sense other than biology, and biology alone does not automatically score an invite. I suspect he's worried that not being present will reflect poorly on him, but that's called reaping what he sowed. He's a misogynistic moron, demanding to be invited to a lesbian wedding? No, biology does not supersede a history of bigotry and toxic behavior in a relationship that barely exists anymore. I would guess he wants free booze and a party with the cousins. I'd have security ready to remove him if he shows up without an invite. Sorry, Dad. You didn't stop the brother from mistreating his sister. Tell that to the people that wonder why he isn't there. This would frankly be grounds for Dad losing his own invitation too. Apparently, more important to support misogyny and bigotry to be sure his son gets to attend versus supporting his daughter during her actual wedding. Dad is a giant enabling idiot. I, 28 female, am getting married to my fiancé, Nick, 29 male, this August. Nick's parents are paying for most of the wedding while we're covering some smaller expenses. Due to Nick being their only child, they wanted a bigger wedding and were allowed to invite a lot of business partners to it, which is something I don't mind, as Nick and I wanted more of a formal wedding. We've sent the invitations with the dress code of being a black tie, so formal. I have a younger sister, Kate, 22, who's the golden child in my family, where my parents and grandparents would allow her to do anything she wanted. And my sister and I have a relationship, but we're not super close. Now to the issue. Recently, my sister got into the all-natural trend, which I had no issue with until I saw her dressed to my wedding. The dress is above knee length and is silky champagne color, which looks more like a nightie for the wedding instead of the dress. And my sister's not planning on wearing any bra or cover underneath, leaving very little to the imagination, and she's quite busty. The dress does not fit with the dress code, and honestly makes her look like she just came from filming a cheap adult film. She also let her hair grow on her legs and armpits, and is not planning on shaving either. I've tried to tell her as politely as I can that she can't show up at my wedding like this, and needs to wear a bra with this type of dress, as well as find a better outfit that fits the dress code. Still, Kate was not having any of this and called me a jealous idiot who was trying to control her. I've explained to her that I'm not paying for the wedding. There are reasons why the dress code's been set in place, and I've also mentioned business partners attending the wedding. I'd like my only sister to look presentable. Otherwise, she won't be allowed to come. This resulted in Kate storming off. My parents are on Kate's side, while my fiancé and mother-in-law agree with me. Edit. To address my comments about my sister's appearance. Unfortunately, where I live, looks are very important, as well as personal hygiene, and women are expected to shave at least their armpits and legs if wearing a revealing dress. If my sister decided to show up somewhere else looking like this, or at work, she would immediately be asked to take care of herself and make herself presentable. Otherwise, she's not allowed on the premises. Regarding the bra comment, some dresses and styles allow you to get away with not wearing one. Her dress was not one of them, and as mentioned, it made her look like she was ready for bed and not to attend the event. Again, wearing it in public would result in most places asking her to cover up and would not let her in uncovered. That dress is a nightie, not a dress. Couple that with not wearing a bra, and it would look like she's on her way to bed, not a wedding. And why champagne in color? That's a bridal color. If she does wear that, she'd be embarrassing herself. Not the idiot. It's your wedding, and she doesn't have to come if she doesn't want to follow the dress code. Definitely you are the idiot about the bra and shaving comments. Shaving has nothing to do with hygiene, else most men would be unhygienic. And bras have nothing to do with hygiene. These things are about policing women's bodies, and as long as women continue to buy into these beauty standards, they will persist. You can be formally attired without shaving or a bra. Men do it all the time. No man, or at least anyone I know, would show up to a black tie event wearing shorts or showing off their hairy legs. It's not about policing someone's body. There's an appropriate way of appearing in certain situations. You wouldn't walk into a job interview with hairy underarms. People get too defensive about body hair, then try to play the victim when others don't want their attitude. Agree. I don't think you get to police her shaving, but the actual clothes on her body can be expected to conform to the dress code. The jealous idiot accusation is kind of funny and reads like a projection to me. This outfit spat screams of attention-seeking behavior on her part. Be ready for your parents to bring her along to crash, even if you uninvite her from the wedding. I, 35 female, had my son a few weeks ago. My husband, 39, has been a huge help with taking care of the house, cooking, and cleaning. I let him know often how much I appreciate everything that he does. My family also helps with taking care of our son. My husband's 40th birthday was this past weekend, and he made it clear he didn't want a huge party. I invited a few of his closest friends and family to go out for a nice dinner at his favorite restaurant. A few people couldn't make it, and it ended up being a small dinner. I was exhausted the night before, as the baby was up until 3 a.m. I did notice that my husband was quiet during dinner and hardly touched his food. When we got home after dinner, my husband looked at me with an angry expression on his face. He started screaming that I ruined his 40th birthday. His telling me that he didn't want a huge party meant he did. I was so tired that I burst into tears and haven't spoken a single word to him, except when it's about the baby. I'm starting to feel like the idiot for not making my husband's 40th birthday a better one. Not the idiot. Looks like you have 2 babies to deal with in the house now, a newborn and a 40-year-old infant. Poor you. You are not at fault for not knowing that not wanting a big party means wanting a big party. Your husband is a grown man of full maturity and should know how to properly ask what he wants. He should also know that people cannot read minds. Don't get me wrong, OP is not the idiot, pretty clearly, but I believe that a lot of people who do the whole "don't make a big fuss for me for my birthday" sort of do it as a coping mechanism. It's like folks who claim to prefer being solitary to mask their loneliness and wish they had friends to do things with. Homie's anger is completely misdirected, but I'd imagine the root of his feelings are, I only had a small group willing to celebrate my birthday, and of that group, half of them didn't even come. LOL, what? I would be so upset if I told my husband not to plan anything for my birthday and he threw a party. I'd feel disrespected and not listened to. I also prefer having my husband and son and having plenty of friendly interactions with people, but I choose not to go out and socialize with them, despite invites. That's a pretty blanket statement to make, and as adults, we should just take people at their word and not our projections on them. You might feel lonely or might be coping, but that hardly means everyone is. Honey, please consider carefully whether this behavior is out of character for your husband. If it is, insist he sees a mental health professional immediately. If it's not, is it just one in a string of examples of a slightly more egregious one? Ask that loving, helpful family of yours if you can please move in with them while you sort out the details of your divorce. My family has a beautiful 24-karat gold, 6-carat sapphire ring that originally belonged to my great-grandmother and was passed down. Everybody that wore it suffered some sort of misfortune, an untimely death of themselves or husbands and children, financial ruin, infidelity of partner, etc. Hence, over time, people in the family began to believe it was cursed. And although we still own it, nobody has worn it in years. My fiance absolutely adores sapphires and loves the ring. She doesn't believe in superstition and knows nobody else in the family wants the ring, so she asked me to give it to her as an engagement present. I'm not much of a believer in superstition either, but given that everyone who wore this ring had something moderately bad to really bad happen to them, why risk it? I have the means to buy another sapphire engagement ring that doesn't have the potential curse on it. My fiance thinks this makes me the idiot because I'm letting a really quality ring go to waste just because of superstition. Maybe, but again, I don't see the need to tempt fate. Does this make me the idiot? No vote, but untimely death, infidelity, financial ruin are the results of life and living, not a curse. However, mate, you absolutely believe in curses. I don't believe in curses, but why take the chance? Means you believe. Just be honest about that, and maybe the conversation with your girlfriend will go better, and then buy her a new ring. Her desires shouldn't come at the expense of your comfort. Do I believe in curses? No. Do I think superstitions are silly? Yes. Would I wear that ring? No. Silly superstitions aside, she has no right to that ring anyway. It's a stupid argument. She was told no and is being a baby. It's your family ring, to give or not give. Your fiancé needs to accept that. And look at what the ring has already done. It caused a row between you two, and she hasn't even worn it yet. Find someone to bless the ring and remove the curse. Have the ring cleansed, not cleaned, cleansed. I'm a practicing witch. It would be the stones that would be cursed. The stones have energy. They can also hold energy. My jeweler will do diamond swaps where he keeps the old stones, and I pay the difference of the new ones if they're bigger or better grade. Maybe see if you can find a jeweler that will do something similar. Probably won't be cheap, but it could help get the bad stones out at a reasonable price and keep the ring style. Stones hold bad energy? I love the internet. Thanks for enlightening us. I'll admit it's off-putting that she keeps insisting on wearing it, even when it would make you and your family uncomfortable. I'm sure she's a nice person, but that's not the best look. Your family believes in the curse. Whether you or she do or do not is irrelevant. That should be reason enough for her not to get it, simply out of respect for their beliefs and how they're likely to perceive someone willing to wear something like that. Because of this, I would tell her it's not up to her to have at all and never really was.